There is a conversation that happens in complete silence. It lives in your mind, a constant, looping dialogue with a man who isn't there. You play out what you would say, what he might reply. You analyze his last words, the space between his messages, the look in his eyes the last time you saw him. This isn't just memory. It's an active, draining, invisible connection that keeps him present in your life, long after his physical presence has faded into quiet. The phone lies on the table, a dark, silent mirror. Your body still holds a phantom tension, an unconscious waiting for a notification that doesn't come. You tell yourself you've stopped waiting. You tell yourself you're moving on. But a part of you, a deep, intuitive part, feels his thoughts. You sense him turning your name over in his mind. You feel a pull, a flicker of energy across the distance, and you ask yourself, am I going crazy? Or is he really thinking of me? This is the torment of his silence. It's not the silence of a stranger. It's a loud, echoing silence, filled with unspoken things. It feels personal. It feels intentional. And the most confusing part is that your intuition, the part of you that has so often been right, insists that this story isn't over. It whispers that underneath his withdrawal, there is still feeling, there is still a connection. And so you live in a paradox. Your logical mind sees the reality. No calls, no messages, no effort. But your inner world feels the opposite, a current of energy, a shared mental space, a sense that he is wrestling with something profound related to you. You try to reconcile these two realities, and the effort is exhausting. Friends give you simple advice. If he wanted to, he would. Just block him and move on. He's just not that into you. But these explanations feel like trying to describe a symphony by only naming one of the instruments. They are flat, two-dimensional. They don't capture the depth, the almost magical intensity of the connection when it was alive. They don't explain why it felt so faded, so uniquely significant. And they certainly don't explain why his absence feels more powerful than other men's presence. You know, on a level that defies simple logic, that this silence is not empty, it is full of meaning. The problem is, you've been misinterpreting what that meaning is. You believe it's about you. But the deeper truth is far more complex, and it has its roots in the unseen world of the human psyche. This is not a story about chasing a man. This is a story about the ghost he left behind in your own mind. The reason you can't let go, the reason you feel him thinking of you, is because a powerful psychological process was activated. He didn't just meet you, he met an image inside of himself, and he projected that image onto you. And you, in turn, met an image inside of yourself. This is where the work of Carl Jung becomes not a theory, but a lamp in a dark room. He spoke of projection and of the anima, the inner woman who lives in the unconscious of a man. Understanding this is the key to breaking free, not from him, but from the invisible conversation that holds you hostage. Let's first look at the surface of the silence. When a man pulls away after a period of intense connection, a woman's mind often scrambles for a reason that preserves the specialness of what she felt. He's afraid of his feelings. The connection was too real, and it scared him. He has past trauma and doesn't know how to handle real love. He's intimidated by my strength. He needs to figure himself out before he can be with me. These stories are a form of emotional self-preservation. They are comforting because they all point to one conclusion. The love was real, but he was not ready for it. This narrative keeps the hope alive. It frames his silence not as a rejection of you, but as a testament to the power of what you shared. You become the woman who was too much in the best way possible, too insightful, too loving, too real. And he becomes the tragic figure who ran from the best thing that ever happened to him. This story can be true on a certain level. Men do fear intimacy. They do get overwhelmed. But this is only the first layer of the truth. It's the story the ego tells itself to make sense of the pain. The deeper, more uncomfortable truth lies in the mechanism of projection. Imagine you are a beautiful, ornate mirror. When he first met you, he didn't just see you. He looked into you and saw a breathtaking reflection. But what he was seeing was not just your own beauty. He was seeing a long-lost part of his own soul, an image he has carried within him his entire life, projected onto your surface. This inner image, in Jungian psychology, is called the anima. The anima is a man's inner feminine. It's an archetype, an unconscious blueprint of woman that is built from his earliest experiences with his mother, but also shaped by all the significant female figures in his life, and even by the collective unconscious, the shared myths and stories of culture. She can be a goddess, a siren, a muse, a lost soul, a nurturing mother. She holds all the qualities he has, for one reason or another, not integrated into his conscious personality. Deep feeling, intuition, creativity, vulnerability, a connection to nature and the soul. When a man is disconnected from his own anima, he doesn't experience these qualities within himself. Instead, he unconsciously searches for them in the outer world, in a real woman. He is looking for the missing piece of his own psyche. Then he meets you. Perhaps you are naturally intuitive. Perhaps you have a creative soul. Perhaps you listen to him in a way no one ever had, seeing the hidden potential and pain behind his masculine mask. In that moment, something clicks. His unconscious mind shouts, "There she is, the one," and he instantly projects the entire, powerful, magical image of his anima onto you. This is why the beginning of these connections feels so electric, so fated. He looks at you with a sense of wonder and recognition that feels like the deepest love you have ever known. He says things like, "I feel like I've known you my whole life," or, "You see me in a way no one else does." And he is being sincere. He does feel that way. Because in you, he believes he has finally found the embodiment of his own lost soul. You, in turn, are bathed in the light of this powerful adoration. To be the carrier of a man's anima projection is to feel like the most special, unique, and deeply understood woman in the world. It's intoxicating. You feel seen, cherished, almost worshipped. You are not just a woman, you are the woman, his muse, his salvation, his missing half. This intensity feels like proof of true love. But it is not love. It is enchantment. It is a psychological spell. And this is the first part of the illusion. He hasn't fallen in love with you. He has fallen in love with a reflection of himself that he sees in you. He is in love with his own soul, externalized. Now, we must ask the difficult question. Why you? What made you the perfect mirror for his projection? This is not about blame. It is about awareness. Often, a woman who becomes the screen for a man's anima has a particular quality. She may be highly empathetic and intuitive, naturally able to sense what is missing in others. Or she may have her own unconscious wound, a need to be seen as special, to heal, or to be the one who finally understands a complex man. This relates to the woman's own inner masculine figure, what Jung called the animus. If a woman's animus is underdeveloped, she may not have a strong sense of her own inner authority, her own clear discernment. Instead, her animus might be projected outward, drawn to men who appear mysterious, powerful, wounded, or creatively silent. She is unconsciously drawn to the man who needs figuring out, because the act of figuring him out gives her a sense of purpose and connection that she hasn't yet found within herself. So, a perfect unconscious contract is formed. His unconscious anima seeks a home in a real woman. Her unconscious animus seeks a purpose in deciphering a compelling man. It's a lock and key. A circuit is completed. And the energy that flows through this circuit is incredibly powerful, mistaken by both for a once-in-a-lifetime love. But projections, by their very nature, cannot last. They are like a film projected onto a screen. As long as the room is dark and the screen is blank, the image is clear and beautiful. But eventually, the lights have to come on. Reality has to intrude. You, the real woman, begin to show up. You have needs of your own. You have bad days. You have opinions that don't perfectly align with the ethereal image of his anima. You are not a silent, mystical muse. You are a human being with flaws, desires, and a personality separate from his fantasy. You might ask for more commitment. You might challenge him. You might simply want to talk about your day at work when he wants to exist in a state of soulful, silent connection. Every time your real self appears, it creates a crack in the mirror. The projection flickers. he starts to feel a strange sense of disappointment or confusion he can't articulate. The woman he is interacting with is not quite the goddess he met. The initial magic begins to fade, replaced by the friction of two real, imperfect people. For the man who is heavily projecting, this is deeply unsettling. He doesn't consciously think, "Oh, my anima projection is failing." He just feels something is wrong. The connection feels different. He feels a growing anxiety. He may start to feel that you are demanding or needy, or that you've changed. In reality, you haven't changed at all. You are simply becoming more real. This is the moment the silence begins. The silence is not necessarily a conscious, cruel strategy to punish you. More often, it is a retreat. He is retreating from a situation that has become psychologically unbearable for him. The gap between the fantasy he projected onto you and the reality of who you are has become too wide to ignore. He pulls back to protect the fantasy. In silence, in distance, he can preserve the perfect image of you in his mind. He can go back to having that invisible conversation with his ideal anima woman, the one who never challenges him, who exists purely as his inspiration. He thinks. This is why your intuition is not wrong. You feel him thinking of you because he is thinking of you. But he is engaging with a ghost, a curated, perfect memory. He is in a relationship with a version of you that only exists in his own unconscious. His silence is the space where he can safely love his projection without the messy interference of a real human being. He is protecting his inner world from the demands of a real relationship. His ego, the conscious part of his mind, may not understand this at all. His ego might just feel confused, anxious, or even guilty. He might tell himself he's not ready for a relationship, or that he needs space. These are the rationalizations his conscious mind provides for a much deeper, unconscious process. He is silent because the alternative, facing the collapse of his projection and engaging with you as a real person, requires a level of psychological maturity he may not possess. It would force him to confront the fact that the magic was not in you, but in him. It would force him to take responsibility for his own inner world. The pain you feel is not just the pain of a breakup. It is the specific, soul-crushing pain of realizing you were never truly seen. You were loved not for who you are, but for what you represented. You were a screen for his inner movie, and when the movie ended, or when the projector broke, he simply walked out of the theater, leaving you alone in the dark, still staring at the blank screen, wondering what you did wrong. The answer is, you did nothing wrong. You were simply the person who was standing in the right place at the right time for his unconscious to find you. The tragedy is that you believed the role you were playing was your true self. So what happens now? How do you break this spell? The first step is the hardest. You must accept that the intensity you felt was not a measure of authentic love, but a measure of the power of the projection. This is a painful grief process. You have to mourn a relationship that, in many ways, never truly existed. You were in a relationship with a man who was in love with a dream. The path forward is not about trying to get him to break his silence. It is not about proving to him that you are worthy, or trying to become the anima goddess again. Any attempt to do so is just trying to climb back into the fantasy. The real path forward is to withdraw your own projection. You must turn the light of awareness back onto yourself. Ask yourself, what was it in me that was so drawn to his silent intensity? What part of me was willing to be a mirror for his soul, while leaving my own needs unspoken? What fantasy was I living out? Perhaps your animus, your own inner masculine, was projected onto him. You saw him as the deep, soulful, mysterious artist or thinker, the one who held the key to a more meaningful life. You might have outsourced your own depth, your own clarity, your own authority to him. Your task, then, is to reclaim those qualities for yourself. Instead of trying to figure him out, figure yourself out. What are your passions? What are your non-negotiable needs in a relationship? What does your own soul, not his, crave? This is the work of developing your own animus. It is about building a strong inner center of logic, discernment, and self-worth. When your animus is integrated, a quiet inner voice asks, Does he see me? Or does he see a dream he has of me? She can enjoy the flattery and the connection without losing herself in it. She remains a person, not a screen. She is no longer a suitable candidate to play the role of the anima because she is too busy playing the role of herself. This is the true meaning of returning to yourself. It is not a tactic to make him miss you. It is a fundamental shift in your psychological orientation. You stop being a mirror for others and become your own source of light. As you do this work, something strange happens to the invisible conversation. It begins to fade. The looping thoughts lose their emotional charge. When you feel a flicker of him thinking of you, you no longer interpret it as a sign of impending reunion. You recognize it for what it is, the dying echo of a powerful psychic connection, a phantom limb that still aches from time to time. You can observe it with a kind of detached compassion. Ah, there's that old circuit again. And then you gently bring your attention back to your own life, your own breath, your own reality. If this process of being a mirror for someone else's dream sounds painfully familiar, if you've ever felt that ache of being adored for a fantasy and then discarded when your reality showed up, take a moment to acknowledge that wound. If you feel comfortable, you could write a single word in the comments that describes how it felt when the reflection faded. Not for anyone else, but as an act of naming your own experience. The healing comes when you realize that his silence is, in a strange way, a gift. It is an opportunity. It is the space you need to stop looking at him and start looking at yourself. His withdrawal of the projection forces you to find your own reality. It is a painful, involuntary initiation into a deeper level of self-awareness. Will he ever come back? This becomes the wrong question. The real question is, if he did come back, who would he find? Would he find the same woman, waiting with a polished mirror, ready to reflect his fantasy back to him? Or would he find a woman who is so solidly in her own being that she cannot be anything other than herself? A woman who is no longer available to be a dream, because she is too busy being real. In the second scenario, a genuine relationship might be possible, but it would be a completely different kind of relationship. It would be slower, less magical, and far more grounded. It would be a connection between two whole, real people, not two interlocking projections. He would have to be willing to see you, the real you, and you would have to be willing to risk being seen. But you no longer stake your happiness on this outcome. Your focus shifts from fixing the connection with him to integrating the lesson within yourself. The lesson is this: you are not an object for someone else's salvation. You are the protagonist of your own story. The silence that once felt like a torment now becomes a sanctuary. It is your space. It is the quiet you need to hear your own voice, perhaps for the first time. You fill that silence not with waiting, but with living. You take up painting. You go for long walks. You reconnect with friends. You read books that nourish your mind. You do the things that make you feel like you. With every action taken for yourself, you are reclaiming the energy you gave to the invisible conversation. You are taking back your power, piece by piece. One day, you will pick up your phone and feel nothing. No phantom tension, no ache of waiting. It will simply be an object. The silence will no longer be his. It will be yours. And it will not feel empty. It will feel peaceful. It will feel full, full of you. This is the end of the enchantment. It is the beginning of true self-possession. You have walked through the fire of a powerful projection and come out the other side, not burned, but forged. You have learned the difference between being the object of a man's fantasy and the subject of your own life. You no longer search for a man to see you because you have finally, truly seen yourself. And that is a love that no silence can ever take away. My worth is not in how well I reflect his dream, but in how clearly I see myself. But this realization, as profound as it is initially just a thought. It's a cognitive breakthrough. The body, however, keeps the score. It has its own memory, stored not in concepts, but in sensations. Your nervous system has been trained for months, maybe years, to exist in a state of hypervigilance, a low-grade state of fight or flight, waiting for his signal. Your cells remember the dopamine hit of his validation and the cortisol crash of his withdrawal. Healing, therefore, must also happen on a somatic level. You must consciously teach your body that the war of waiting is over. This is the body memory layer of healing. It begins when you notice that phantom tension in your shoulders as you glance at your phone. Instead of ignoring it or getting lost in the thought behind it, you stop. You breathe into that tension. You place a hand on your chest and feel the frantic, shallow beat of a heart waiting for a text message that no longer serves you. You tell your body, out loud if you need to, "We are safe. We are no longer waiting. The signal is not coming, and that is our freedom." This is not a one-time fix. It is a practice. It's feeling the ache in your stomach when a memory surfaces, and instead of pushing it away, you breathe into it. You allow the physical sensation to be there without the story attached. You are untethering the emotion from the trigger. You might find yourself drawn to practices that anchor you in your physical self. Yoga, dance, running, even just walking barefoot on the grass. These are not distractions. They are acts of embodiment. You are reminding your nervous system that it has a home right here, inside your own skin, independent of anyone else's presence or absence. As you do this, the physical charge of his memory begins to neutralize. The ghost is not just evicted from your mind, it is released from your very tissues. This process also requires a courageous look into the shadow, both his and your own. His silence is not just a retreat to protect his anima fantasy, it is also a flight from his own shadow. The shadow, in Jungian terms, is the part of ourselves we repress and deny. For him, the projection falling apart meant he was about to come face to face with his own inadequacy, his inability to love a real woman, his fear of emotional commitment, his immaturity. By going silent, he not only preserves his fantasy of you, he preserves his fantasy of himself. He avoids having to see himself as the man who disappoints, the man who runs, the man who cannot meet the moment. His silence is a profound act of avoiding his own shadow work. He stays in the dark to avoid seeing what's in the dark. But what about your shadow? It's tempting to see yourself purely as the victim in this dynamic. But the shadow holds our disowned parts, and for a woman who becomes an anima screen, the shadow can contain a subtle, hidden desire for power. There can be a shadow gratification in being the one who is special enough to unlock a difficult man, the one whose love is so powerful it could potentially heal him. This is the shadow side of the healer archetype. It's a desire to be indispensable. Acknowledging this doesn't make you culpable for his behavior, but it does set you free. When you can look at yourself with radical honesty and say, "A part of me liked being on that pedestal. A part of me felt powerful being his muse, even if it meant my own needs went unmet," you reclaim a huge piece of your power. You see that your involvement wasn't just passive. You were unconsciously playing a role that fed a hidden part of your own ego. This realization is the ultimate protection against it ever happening again. You no longer need to be special to him, because you are learning to address your own need for significance from within. As this inner work deepens, you'll notice concrete signs of your freedom. It won't be a sudden lightning bolt, but a series of small, quiet dawns. You'll be driving, and a song you both loved will come on the radio, and you'll feel a faint echo of sadness, but it will be followed by a genuine appreciation for the melody. The song will become just a song again. You'll see a man on the street who reminds you of him, and your heart won't seize up. Instead, a wave of detached compassion will wash over you, for him, for yourself, for the whole tangled human drama. You'll have a difficult day at work, and your first impulse will be to run a bath, call a friend, or write in your journal, not to fantasize about him holding you. You are becoming your own source of comfort, your own safe harbor. And then comes the final exam, the late practical test. It will happen on a Tuesday morning or a Friday night. When you least expect it, your phone will light up, and it will be his name. The message will be deceptively simple. "Hey," or "was just thinking about you," or "saw this and thought of you." It is a breadcrumb, a feeler, a single tentative knock on a door he assumes is still waiting for him. In that moment, your body will remember. An electric jolt will shoot through you, Your heart will plummet into your stomach. Adrenaline will flood your system. The old programming, the well-worn neural pathway of "he's back," will fire up with stunning speed. This is the test. All the theory, all the journaling, all the somatic work, it was all practice for this exact moment. The old you would have been hijacked. Your mind would race, analyzing the single word. Hey, what does it mean? Is he sorry? Does he miss me? What should I say back? I need to be cool, but not cold. I need to be open, but not desperate. The invisible conversation would start again at full volume. But the new you, the integrated you, does something different. First, you breathe. You feel the adrenaline spike, the frantic heartbeat, and you don't judge it. You simply observe it. Ah, there's the old response. Hello, adrenaline, I feel you. You are not the reaction. You are the one watching the reaction. Second, you don't ask, what does he want? You ask, what do I want? You check in with the peace you have so carefully cultivated. Is engaging with him aligned with this peace? Does this text message feel like a bridge to a real connection or a hook to pull you back into the old dynamic? Your integrated animus, your inner clarity, will know the difference instantly. A bridge feels supportive. A hook feels sharp. His text is not about you. It's about him. He felt a moment of loneliness, boredom, or nostalgia. He reached for the feeling he associates with you, the feeling of his anima projection. He is not reaching for you, the real woman who has been doing the hard work of healing. He is reaching for his old fantasy, hoping it's still there on demand. So, what do? You have options, and for the first time, they are all rooted in your power, not your hope. You might choose to reply with a neutral, polite response that closes the door. Hope you're doing well. This is not a conversation starter. It is a period at the end of a sentence. It communicates that you are fine, and that the energetic line is no longer open. Or, and this is often the most powerful choice, you might not reply at all. Not as a punishment, not to play a game, but because your peace is more valuable than his breadcrumb. Silence, which was once his weapon, now becomes your shield. It is your declaration that the theater is closed. The screen is no longer available for projections. Your silence says, I am no longer a character in your story. I am busy writing my own. Passing this test doesn't feel like a triumphant victory. It feels quiet. It feels like a calm certainty settling deep in your bones. It's the feeling of seeing the trap and choosing, with serene awareness, to simply walk around it. The final thread of the enchantment dissolves, not with a bang, but with a quiet click of recognition. From this place, the story finds its soft closing. The entire experience, once a source of agonizing pain, is transmuted into wisdom. You don't hate him. You don't even need to forgive him in a grand gesture. You simply see the dynamic for what it was, a necessary, albeit painful, lesson from the curriculum of the soul. He was the catalyst that forced you to find the parts of yourself you had given away. You begin to walk through the world differently. Your gaze is no longer turned outward, searching for the one who will see you. It is turned inward, enjoying the landscape of your own being. The love you sought from him, you have finally learned to give to yourself. And you understand that this is the only love that can never be taken away. The silence he left you with became the sacred space where you finally met the most important person in your life, yourself. And the conversation you have with her is the only one that truly matters.